of 30. I'm currently trying to get her on live on TikTok and it's not working for whatever reason. So can you request Tina?
I think it's cute that you people think I know how to do this.
Oh, you're on your way to Minnesota? Well, oh, fun. Well, hopefully it's fun. Because, like, Rye just popped up on my invite thing. Like, how does Rye pop up and I can't even invite you?
All right, might as well just kick it off.
Okay, I don't even know how to. Okay, welcome in,
You're
beautiful
recording.
souls. Welcome back. We're on day 6. I was mentioning of awakening truths, make up your power. Tonight we're talking about clarity, with your intuition, with your inner knowing, with your relationships. How now is a really, really important time, especially we've even got Mars going into Aries. We've got Uranus about to come out of Taurus. It's been in it for the past 8 years, and that shift's happening. So right now, intuition is super important. A lot of people are going within, instead of connecting with the collective energy that's going on, because we can tap into the collective energy here and there, but staying there is very difficult too because of how intense the collective energy is. So we're really trying to go live and trying to provide tools to help empower you guys on this journey, so that that way you're not being taken a fool of, in the orchestrated life that is being dismantled at this time. Is that a good way to say it? I think people can still hear you talking to you too as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a great way to say it. I actually did a post this morning on LinkedIn around the fact that people are kind of mentioning more and more how they don't understand why they're feeling such chaos, why everything feels so heavy, so they're just not sure what's happening around them. So I was able to take some of those thoughts and post that this morning for folks so that they would understand the shift that's taking place, um, and kind of what they're feeling, what they're going through.
Yeah, because there's definitely a friggin' shift. And I feel like the shift's happening with a lot of like things that we were used to doing, whether it was certain things that we were eating or like just habits, are really shifting. Um, Me and my husband are actually going to do a 72-hour like fruit and water fast. We're going to do it the day after he goes live with me on Friday. Yes, it's our 9-year anniversary on Friday, and Tina will not be able to join us. So my husband, I'm pretty confident is going to come on. We're going to kind of talk about our twin flame journey and share that with you guys, and take your questions live. If you guys have any questions on the twin flame journey or want to know about how we even came to be, pretty interesting story. But he refused to do the 72-hour fast until after going live. So we will be starting that Saturday. So if anybody listening in wants to join us, we can write up a little list of what we're doing with the fruits and the water for 72 hours to kind of cleanse our bodies out. It's a spiritual cleanse as well. Um, Something that we like to do every so often, and we felt inclined to do so at this time, which I think also T adds to tonight and about clarity with the intuitive development, because when you do a fast like this, you do end up getting a lot of insight, a lot of clarity, a lot of recalibrating. It's going to be good for us, and it's also really, honestly, I really want to do it too because I want to let my body know that I'm in control and that food is not. So for me, that's why I personally kind of want to do it for a few days. So if it resonates with y'all, we're going to be doing it the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So
So why are you waiting till after the podcast on Friday? Are you gonna be cranky?
he's funny. Well, he doesn't know exactly what gets brought to him. Sometimes he could be pretty lethargic and he may want to sleep more, and which rest is supposed to be more. You're not really supposed to do a lot of strenuous exercise, movement, but not like you want to do more meditation, more resting. It's kind of really in a lot of traditions. It's done often as a reset, as
I see.
recalibrating, and then you slowly integrate. I have been wanting to experiment with going raw fruit for a while. I don't know if that's something that I would end up doing permanently, but it's definitely something I've been resonating with.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, where how far you come in those next few days. Good luck.
Right. That part. Well, I got to remind myself that we're choosing to do it, and it's not a punishment. It's just a matter of just resetting the body. So the conversations may be interesting on our lives as well. But again, it just goes back to with another tool. Another
Yep.
tool that we have available to us that we can utilize to help us on our journey. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, because we've been talking about tarot being a tool, but also at this point in time, really tapping into what your body already knows. These can all be tools, but the reality of it is that we're really being reminded to really tune in. And in order to really tune into our bodies and connect with spirit or with our higher self for co-creation and manifesting, it really matters about what our gut health is telling us because our gut and mental health, that's kind of how we create. I mean, that's kind of how we um, move, really, without needing additives, right? Because, like, if you think about it, you eat like a good meal, but it could have been high in carbs. You feel real good at first, and then there's a drop. You kind of come
Yeah.
down, you end up being tired, lethargic. Then you might want to pick me up with coffee or an energy drink, something like that, or you might want a nap. And then that cycle kind of repeats itself. And it's happening on a large scale of really showing that these companies kind of made this cycle happen. So that way we needed healthcare, right? Because if we're taking in unhealthy foods, then we're going to need more medicine and then we're going to need more. And it's just a cycle. And that's starting to break through intuitive, mindful changes, micro changes. Did I get too spiritual there?
No.
Oh,
No. I think what we've noticed over the couple days, and I just, just to share some humor, I am kind of half in the light and half in the dark because I just took out a lamp that was behind me,
she sure did.
al- along with a chair and a table. So, I'm a little sore right now. So those of you who are on that know me know that this is like part of my daily routine. Um, but I think after the last couple days of listening to where folks were asking certain questions and where they wanted support and guidance and insight, Nicole and I had talked about it after the show and said, this is really about understanding how to communicate, what clarity looks like, how to be curious in your conversations versus judgmental, so you could kind of help set yourself up for those conversations that you're seeking validation for through Nicole and her skill set. But it's not just about that. It's also about that inner intuition that Nicole does talk about all the time. And, she does offer those classes where she can help deepen your ability to be intuitive as well. So we thought we would take some time today between tarot readings and what have you, just to help folks understand how important it is to really seek clarity rather than living in a state of frustration or uncertainty. It's mentally puts you in a very bad place, and physically over time will ruin you. So we were hoping to kind of add a little extra teaching to this specific session.
Absolutely. And presence is really key too. What are my thoughts telling me? Are my thoughts productive for what I'm seeking? Are they debatable? Are they divisive? Self-reflection is super important on this journey, especially because, nervous system regulating, being mindful on what you are really consuming, what your environment is looking like. because tarot, psychic mediumship, anything that you want to, utilize and work with, we all have these capabilities. But what isn't really always available out there that needs to be, which is why we're trying to have this platform, is teaching tools on how to do this yourself, how to connect with spirit or connect with what you want to create. Because when I say your mind doesn't know the difference between real or fake, it's absolutely true. Which is why the collective can get into a TV show or a movie or a series, and it feels so alive, or it come to life, because when it repeats and enough of the collective watches or consumes it, it becomes real to them, and then it starts to play out in this reality. Now, that can sound a little layered in saying that, but it's really, I mean, does that make sense to you? Did I go a little too deep there?
No. Why are you second guessing yourself?
Well, not
You're
second guess.
you're
I
good.
just want, okay, I just want to make sure I don't go too deep where I lose people, because it's really true on what we take in. I mean, and it
Well,
can happen very, very quickly, just the most minute little shift, because of what we're consuming. And if we're consuming those things that are kind of taking us out of our intuition, then we're less likely to make decisions that are in alignment with our authentic truth and could be more aligned with people pleasing behaviors, right?
oh,
Or
absolutely, absolutely. People pleasing plays a huge role um in a lot of our fear.
Mhm. Which really shifts you out of your intuition,
Yep.
right? Because we have three different emotions that we lead with, right? That's fear, hatred, and love.
Yep. And if you can't tap into your spirituality, you're really not going to understand what the inner you is trying to tell you. So it is really important to understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Your body is sending you signals and signs all the time. And if you're not picking up on those in a way that can help you put the pieces of the puzzle together, then you're going to start to fall apart and you're going to seek clarity in the wrong places.
Yep. And spirituality is an internal job, and religion is an external one. That's what just came to me as you were talking, and I really feel that, because spirituality is all based on your senses, right? Your internal, being open-minded to varying beliefs, right? Connecting. When she was saying about your inner body's always telling you stuff, like you will see numbers, synchronicities. You will have, that person that pops up in your head, and then all of a sudden they call you. Like very, very simple like that. But when you start noticing it, acknowledging it, showing gratitude for it, then the universe keeps showing up that way more and more and more. But it will show up either way. So if you're like saying, I can't stand that X, Y, and Z keeps happening, because you keep saying that is going to continue happening. If you change that, try changing that verbiage. Like, for example, with my father, it was something very, very big. I would always tell him, I'm like, listen, you spent most of your life telling yourself you're sick, that you're dying, that you're here after mommy died as a punishment because of the fact that she couldn't live, this, that, and the other. And you lived in all this fear and all of this like pain all the time. And I said, just give it a shot and think positive. I am healing. I am feeling better. My legs are working, or whatever the examples were. And it becomes, over time, it becomes a belief, which becomes your reality. Either way you feed it. And I watched it deplete my father to the end of his days, because he was so sad that his illness was his illness, which was his illness, which was and it's like his physical body was just tired. It was exhausting. So faith is very, very important to have, but having faith in ourselves is the best gift that we can have, and the best gift that we can give to everybody else. And that's why I say what I say about spirituality being inner work and religion being external, because religion was really taught to seek outside of yourself, that there was somebody and there were these things these physical things that we had to obey and that we had to abide by. And it's like, what the fuck is that? Like, no, doesn't make sense, because then when that system shows its reality, which is it was only for itself and it didn't really care about where you were going to falter or what you were going through, then you're left with what Tina was saying, almost faithless, right? Meaning you didn't have your spirituality, right? Because when that religion, which is really falling right now and getting broken down because of the controls that are there, a lot of people are at a loss, because they're like, wait, I was told that this was going to be fruitful for me, that if I worked hard, if I did this, that I was going to get that. And it's getting shown differently. So that's where spirituality, intuition, energy, connecting with your inner self is super important at this time.
Yeah, I think I don't really I don't bring it up too much, but I think when 21, 22, 23 all kind of hit me as hard as they did, the the messages and the emotions I was putting out there was hate, why me, a lot of guilt, a lot of blaming, and I I was not my best self, and people around me were suffering from it. And it wasn't until I was able to, and I'm only 6, maybe 9 months into my spiritual healing side of it, but it wasn't until I found and understood the power of the spirit and your soul connection that I realized what I had been missing out on. And when you can move from that victim mentality and understanding to that life, life should not be living through you. You should be living through life as your creator. So
Mhm.
what lessons are you learning? Those are the lessons that you've been taught, and those are the lessons you were meant to learn and to take forward and to, you know, however you're going to use them. And my option at this point was to learn how to, one, heal, two, how to cope with it, but three, how to bring it forward to help others who may have been stuck or are stuck in the same place that I was several years ago. But it took a lot of work for me to get out of that dark space.
And we had to really sit with it, right? Because in a society that tells you to keep producing, as well as consuming at the same time, when do we ever find that time? And COVID allowed that time, right? It allowed that time to kind of sit, face, and deal, but it also raised a lot of, I don't know how to do this. So, substance abuse, addictions, it took a real big swing to alcoholism going up, skyrocketing at that time, right? Divorce rates went up, suicide rates went up. But on the
Birthing came
other
up.
side of it, because remember, it's all on a spectrum, you started having people go more holistic, speaking more up for the division that was playing out in the government, within the police, and with it, you know what I mean? So you were starting to see that uprising begin to happen, because when we're faced with grief, guilt, shame, any of that stuff, spirituality is what was life saving. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people started seeing that, these other things weren't, they outside of myself weren't mattering. The material world didn't matter. It didn't matter how much money I was making, because in an instant this was happening, but and so forth. And it's just like, if we can't, if we don't allow ourselves to look within, then we will fall for anything that is given to us without outside of ourselves. Like,
Yep.
it's so important to do the work daily.
It is. It's a daily practice. And for somebody who worked through COVID, I was not one of those fortunate people who got to stay home and work from home. I worked in healthcare and I had to be on site every day. And I still to this day feel that if we had invested more money in mental health awareness, and maybe, finding a way to link spirituality to some of the classes and to the teachings. Our frontline staff might have healed differently or had moved forward, because they're still stuck. They're still in a place where they haven't recovered. And it's tough, but it's it's heartbreaking even to watch the kids going to nursing school today and then coming out and saying, I don't want to be a nurse.
Right, because they went to war.
Yeah, they didn't even get to go into the hospitals to do their clinicals, so they missed out on a whole big piece of their nursing training. um, but I do feel that it was a disservice to kind of, I don't want to say leave our colleagues behind, but not take the time to invest money into their mental health.
Right. And then now you see the mental health everywhere.
Right.
Because I completely agree. As I'm in school right now for counseling, my whole push is about person-centered therapy. It's about holistic and somatic practices. It's about adding your birth chart as an added tool if the client is open to it, for reflection, for integration. Like I myself am trying to, like, we'll see how far it goes, take as far as I can, but I believe strongly in integrating these tools into therapy, absolutely, into counseling, and taking all of the medications, in all honesty, I mean this, out, because there is holistic somatic, there are practices that can replace these medicines. Of course, I always say it would, because if they've been on them for so long, it would have to be slowly integrated out as these tools are integrated in, because we'd want to do it safely, of course. But I definitely think that it's something that we're headed to. And I will lead the charge on it as much as possible, because for me, I know it was life changing with the experiences I've had in my life, the amount of layers of trauma that I've experienced, spirituality and the journey and the awakening that I went down. It was fully jumping off the ledge and believing and trusting. And every bit of the way has fallen into truth. So I am the biggest marker of, like, when you really jump into this, you really can heal your life from somebody who I would substance abuse to, like, I had self-sabotaging habits, but it was more like I was transfer addicted. So I would get rid of one thing, go to the next thing, thinking that I was layering and getting more and more healthy, but finding out that some of those healthier choices that were FDA and everybody else is always saying these are all great things to do, finding out that they have more side effects that create more disease in the body to just get you on another medication. No, it was never let's get you off of medication. It was how can we add another medication to your medication for what it's doing to your body inadvertently. So it was a huge journey of, like, we really got to step back. We got to be also mindful about, like, okay, just because society is saying that these are good tools, how is it showing up for you? Because it's easy to point blame, but I also had to realize, just because somebody is saying that it's a good thing, you are seeing that it's addictive, or that you're having side effects, or that, you know what I mean, what have you. And I had to realize for myself that I was doing a little bit of victimhood there, not fully realizing it, because I thought, well, if society is normalizing it, then how am I becoming addicted? So is there something wrong with me? Am I just an addicted person? And the reality of it is, no, those things are created to keep you addicted, to keep you enslaved, to keep you running that mill. And now we're here to break that by having these conversations, talking about real tools that have worked for us, but that at first don't always hit instantly if you're somebody that's used to that instant gratification, because you start to realize on this journey that instant gratification also means an instant, you're going to have a reaction to that, a come down to that, right? For every high, for as high as you go is as low as you're going to go, that no matter what. But if you can start living in the balance, like even if something wonderful happens and you're like, oh my God, that's great, but still staying and maintaining, same thing with negative, then you flow easier instead of the spikes. I lived a lot in spikes, which kept it hard for me to be clear on things. Does that make sense? Could you relate to that? Like up downs?
Me? Oh, I just did it in front of you about 40 minutes ago. I was
The
up, then I was
physical down on
down,
the ground.
and now I'm back up, and I'm a little crooked.
Hey, but you're still here. You're still showing
I
up.
still, I still show up every day.
That's all we can do, man. Show up for ourselves. Show up here. Day 6 is almost complete.
Do we have any questions
People
coming
have
in?
kind of popped in and out. I didn't see many questions in the chat.
Yeah, I don't see too much going on.
No, I didn't lead with the card pull tonight. I led more with us talking about intuitive development and clarity. Um, but anybody is welcome to comment down below about how your journey is showing up for you right now, how your intuition or fear is coming up. We just got a slower night, really.
I bet the minute you start doing those cards, they'll be popping in.
I know if I would have led in the description that my cards were there, we would have been slammed the whole time. We wouldn't even talk about. I mean, or we probably would have, but just done it the way that we did last night, I guess. But people
I
love.
think I don't see a lot of the same names. I know we have Stephanie in here and a few others, but I don't think. I'd be curious for those of you who were on the live last night if you feel like you're connecting with what Nicole and I kind of just went through based off of all the different questions that came in about relationships and intuition and understanding if so and so is cheating on me. These were all things that people were asking the cards to answer for them versus being able to show up and have those conversations themselves. So I'm just curious if it's resonating with anybody.
Yeah, because they definitely are uncomfortable conversations, and we can understand that. And sometimes just being able to come out into a chat with people that you don't really know, a safe space, coming to us and asking, and then getting some clarity. I hope that you guys did end up having those possible uncomfortable conversations. Because if we resist it, then it's going to build up and we're going to get more and more in our heads about it, right? But if we just have the conversation, then it's done. It's done. It's out of your mind, and then you can have more clarity on next steps. Because otherwise, why we're choosing to hold on to pain. And the question is, like Bashar would always say, why? Why? If you're choosing to hold on to it, it is benefiting you somehow.
Well, and I think it's funny, I relate to, when I would go to work and I would have to do a presentation, I would freak out about that anxiety about standing in front of people. And then after it's over and it's done, and then getting the accolades was always rewarding. So I kind of put that into perspective with like, face your fears.
Yes.
If something is bothering you and you need to get through it, or you need to, navigate, just trust your gut, because you are never going to be put in a place or a time that you weren't meant to be in.
Confidence comes after you face your fear, not before. Always remember that. You got to do the hard thing first.
Yep.
Because otherwise, you're just living a life full of shit. Don't you? The fake it till you make it. Welcome in, beautiful souls. Welcome in. We're pulling cards, having conversation about clarity, empowerment, intuitive development in our little corner here of the internet. I was seeing how even this week a lot of people are kind of really getting a shift happening spiritually, kind of internal, kind of like what's going on here. So I thought it was interesting with us doing this 30 days and doing it live and talking about what we're talking about, that it's pretty in alignment with what's kind of shifting out there. And the good thing is that we'll also have this on, once it gets loaded, edited, and sent over for people to be able to listen later, reflect. But we'll keep showing up. We'll have some nights that are slow, some nights that are busy. Tomorrow night, we possibly, if she confirms fully, might have Karen on. She was a guest of ours, telling her story about the journey of what she's faced, how she's overcome it, how she continues to work through it, and how she also is just such a beacon of love and light, and how there is love in life after pain. There is. After the fire, after the smoke clears, you can rebuild your life no matter what your experience was.
Yeah. I would love for Karen to be able to come on sooner rather than later, because I think her story has such a powerful um, narrative to it, and then the ending. You wonder how somebody could go from what they just went through to where they are today,
Yeah.
and just it kind of sometimes when I hear these powerful stories, I go, shit, what did I ever complain about in my life? Like, so I just broke a nail falling off the chair. My life, that's not gonna break my day. But these people have lost significant members of their family. They've healed. They've moved on. They're working through it, and it's so powerful.
They don't show up in anger. I really hope to, honestly, I would really like to have Karen on when I go live on Facebook, because she's got a great group out there on Facebook, and I feel like if we all went live on there, I would really like to make sure that her story gets told through there, because I think so many people would be just so proud to kind of experience her in that corner of the world. Um, and I think on that platform it'll also better reach, just because TikTok is very quickly and scrolling.
I
And I'm
think
almost there. I only
Karen,
need 4 people, I think. So
I think Karen would be great at helping people. It's just take loss and identity shifting in general. I mean, just having to reestablish, reinvent yourself
over and over and over
over
again.
and over, but also
Yeah.
not losing the true identity of who you really are. Because as rough as it was, she went through all that for a reason.
Hmm. And she always remained a beacon in light of light. Always. Always had the smile, always had and she's big on like communicating, having like those people, having, a safe space of people, ladies that she has had throughout her journey, getting a part of grief groups and stuff like that, advocating. And also too, guys, a beautiful thing is she has a musical hobby that she is very passionate about, that she's been passionate about for a long time. And the reason why I bring that up is because when we experience pain and we experience grief, right? We sit with it, we learn to process it, we learn to try to turn the truths into wisdom, right? But what really helps us be able to evolve it is through creative outlets, whether that be singing, whether and some kind of art, any way to because that's what brings the beauty of Mother Earth, right? It's through the death and the pain and the grief, just like growing anything, just like, our bodies go back into the earth and then they rebirth something new. Like it's just the regeneration, to see that experience and not allow yourself to rot. Because a lot of people at this time, especially, instead of regenerating themselves into something new and something bold, they're allowing themselves to rot. And it's devastating. It's
And
sad.
rotting probably out of fear, right?
Yeah, because through that rot, somebody else is going to end up making soil for themselves. I'm saying, put it out there. That's a chariot. Spiritual energy coming in. Oh, my dude just got ready. Welcome in, beautiful souls. Phone card, sharing guidance. Talking about clarity.
What was the card you just pulled?
It was a chariot, number 7 card.
Okay.
Welcome in, beautiful souls. We're live. We are on day 6 of 30, our challenge. Awakening Truth, Make Up Your Power podcast. Decided to go live for 30 days from 7 to 8 p.m. Welcome in, welcome through. I think I put it into the thing about the cards too. But we got 10 minutes left. With the clarity, there was something that I wanted to look up on. You better knock it off because I will call you out. My husband's being ridiculous. Okay, so like with clarity when it gets confusing, okay? So like seeking answers outside of yourself. So when Tina was talking earlier about a lot of people who were reaching out in the chat about their relationships, you know, psychics and everything, it's beautiful to have, you know, some clarity from people, but really the clarity comes from within you, right? And if we seek too hard outside of ourselves and we're not trusting inside of ourselves. So overthinking versus inner knowing. So if you're overthinking and you're stressing out, know that that's your mental mind, not your intuition. Your intuition will be soft, inviting, understanding. Um, let's see. Confusion often comes from ignoring your inner truth. If fear speaks loudly. Tarot as a reflection on an authority. Where did I want to talk about something? Oh, a guided clarity exercise. Okay, guys. So a good one to do is anybody that's on here, or if anybody catches this later. So close your eyes, take a breath, and drop into your body. Bring to mind a situation you're seeking clarity on. Ask internally, what feels heavy? What feels light? Where do I feel tension? What am I already aware of? And what truth have I been avoiding? And then pause for 30 seconds. Your intuition doesn't shout, it whispers, it nudges, it sits quietly until you're ready to listen. Clarity lives in that quiet space. So if at any time you guys are feeling a lot of noise or hearing a lot of noise inside, try working out, meditating. The reason why I say if you're hearing a lot of noise inside to work out is because if you go and you sit and you meditate and your mind's already kind of going, it's going to be even more difficult to kind of get it to settle. But when you're working out and you get focused, and you just keep telling yourself, badass bitch, I'm badass bitch. You start to kind of align. So any hard stuff that kind of comes up while you're working out, it's almost like you're gaining clarity at the same time. You're kind of working literally in a figurative way, working through it. Because I know I do that for myself. Especially if I start getting in my head, it's like I gotta work out 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be dancing even, but getting that body moving will help you also find clarity as well.
Yeah, definitely pump the dopamine up through your physical activity. I'm trying to recall, I think it was last night. One of the things that really got me thinking was how, I don't know if it's confusion, if it's I don't think it's intuition. I feel like a lot of the questions that were coming in were around situations that people just probably already have an answer to but can't accept what that answer is. And
Yep.
I think that that's where, we talked about in the beginning, where fear really does take over. It fear does a lot. Anxiety does a lot to our body. The the unknown, the boundaries, the um, um, I think I gave myself a concussion. The limited belief systems, right? Like
Yeah.
these are all things that get in the way of us being able to navigate and be confident.
Yep, you're absolutely right about limiting beliefs. It is such a real thing and it can prevent you. And a lot of the times, the limiting beliefs are the limiting beliefs of your environment pushed onto you.
Yep.
So, again, going back into the body, gaining that clarity. For me on my journey, girl, when you said limiting beliefs, you hit such a chord there. Because through Gabby Bernstein, she's a big fan of her. Also, The Artist Way. I don't know if you're familiar with the Artist Way teachings. Phenomenal. You can get the workbook, very interactive. Betsy kind of turned me to the Artist Way. Phenomenal if you really want to tap into your intuition. Phenomenal. That's where I got the three page journal dumping to taking yourself out on a date. Um, but that one's huge for helping with limited beliefs. It's something that came out a very long time ago, but still rings true. I highly recommend it to people. But changing your thoughts is huge because your beliefs are your beliefs, which become your reality.
It's rewiring your internal system. It's hard.
Mhm. Yep, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I mean, there's so, but the good thing is, guys, is there's so much out there now. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza, this man, like, oversight. I don't know the details. I won't even say the details, but had a major incident, pretty much killed himself. Healed himself, and I don't mean it through like over medicating certain. Like this man was never supposed to walk again and healed himself, and it's the power of belief. It's the power of also the details. Because if say you're like, I just want a house in the woods, you can get a house in the woods, but it might be floating down the river if you have an area that just floods nonstop. So being descriptive on what you want to manifest, because the universe is going, you are going to create it just like a video game. So keeping your channel clear is pretty much what I'm getting at with that. This kid
And
here.
turn and change the station when it starts to make too much noise.
Yes, so true. So true because you align with the same radio. And it's just like with connecting with spirit. I always tell people this. I go, you just got to match the radio station. It's like being on a radio station if it's fuzzy, right? And you just got to tune it. Same concept. If you're putting yourself around noise, then expect it to be loud. Right now, especially for your intuition building and intuition all in all, quiet is better. That's what I mean about pulling out of the collective consciousness. Now, if nobody is on here and watching us tonight because they are detaching from the collective and trying to hone in for themselves and ground and find balance, then I'm more happy than that's happening. But now is the time to pull back, go within, be in the quiet. We have hit our hour. Well, what we actually kind of started a little late, come to think of
Okay,
it.
let's just
So I guess if we got some good pointers, we could continue.
let's just not go into how why we were late.
See, I can't. I feel like an asshole every time with that, with the how we were late. Whew. All right, that was ridiculous. But what was more ridiculous is that we got the TikTok figured out earlier, then it didn't work now. So that's the part that's annoying. But we'll leave it here for tonight, guys. Possibly tomorrow night we'll be back tomorrow night from 7 to 8 p.m. We'll be pulling cards, having raw discussions. We might have Karen on tomorrow. I do want to make sure that she's on for the Facebook. I really do because I think that'd be a better platform. Um, but we will be back regardless. 7 to 8, pulling cards, talking about developing your intuition, sharing conversation. Safe space corner. Yeah. So you guys woke up today. So just remember, your soul still has purpose on this planet. So show up authentically up as yourself. And if you're feeling chaotic in this world, get grounded. Smoke a little groovy grass. Chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Have a great night. Love and light, beautiful souls.
Have a good night, everybody.
That one's done.